Boo bitches, I'm back. Welcome to episode 155 of C3 Crystals, Cauldrons, and Cocktails. I'm River,
And I'm Ren.
and today we're going to talk about words of power. But obviously, I am back, at least temporarily. I have good days and bad days.
Hmm.
So today was a better day. I still have headaches and that kind of thing, and it's been a struggle.
Hmm.
Um, Still have trouble reading.
Hmm.
So whether I can read the notes that I have written for my part of this tonight, we shall see.
Hmm.
Otherwise, Ren will carry it once again.
Absolutely.
But what are you drink? I am not drinking because of my head, so
Hmm.
um I just have water. But what are you
Yeah.
drinking?
I've been in a cider mood, so I have a couple
Mm.
of like Bold Rock ciders and other miscellaneous brands that I've been trying out. There's a brand that my husband and we went up north towards Blue Ridge, and it's like Reese's Cider Co.
Huh.
And we went to like a little local bar downtown LJ, and I was just like, yeah,
Okay.
I'll get a cider. It
Mm-hmm.
was one of the best drinks that I've ever had. It was
That
like a
sounds
little bit
lovely.
sweet, but it had like that crispness. It was delicious, and obviously you can't get it anywhere in stores.
Of course.
And so I'm ready to go back up there and just stock up on all the cider, but I'm trying to find something that is at least kind of similar.
Similar. Yeah.
And so far, nothing quite hits that mark. Now with the crispness, I mean, what's that? I don't even have any. It's that Angry Orchard brand.
Mm-hmm.
That one
Mm-hmm.
hits the crispness all right, but it has to be like that specific flavor, like crispy apple or something, like get it
Mm-hmm.
crispy.
Mm-hmm.
That hits the wow, crispness, but not the like that sweetness. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It was just so good. And so next time I'm definitely gonna buy a bunch. So,
That sounds lovely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it's been 5 weeks almost now since I fell.
mhm.
And I think I can start drinking soon. I'm worried because I've still got these headaches, but I go
Yeah.
in tomorrow for another brain scan to
Oh, sweet.
see
Okay.
how my brain is. So I'm hoping to be able to start drinking soon. And I want to drink this time of year. I love the pumpkin beer.
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't had that yet this year. So it's the season. It's like I'm supposed to watch football and drink pumpkin beer because that's a thing, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. So hopefully tomorrow the scan will show that I'm well on the mend and
Mm-hmm.
we'll go from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm excited to try to podcast. So please bear with me. Sometimes I talk, I can't get words right, which of course you all know I did that before I fell.
It was like, what's
Um,
different?
Yeah, right. And sometimes I stumble over words and I mispronounce words and I get words wrong. So just
Hmm.
bear with us as we resume our little duo of
Ooh,
podcasting.
yes. I
Yay!
also don't have my glasses on today, so I'm gonna be squinting and
Oh, good. We're a pair, aren't we?
yeah, I'm blind. You have some mental cognitive issues.
Issues. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, anyways, let's see how this goes.
Okay.
So we are talking about words of power. So, what
Mm-hmm.
are words of power? In witchcraft, words of power are specific words, phrases, or sounds believed to hold spiritual or magical energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, when spoken or chanted with maybe intention, like how we always talk about,
Mm-hmm.
these words can influence energy, manifest desires, or direct certain outcomes in rituals and spells.
Yeah, words are just, I mean, I've always felt like words in general have power. I mean, you can hurt someone with words. You can, the words have power, but I found a really cool description or I guess description's not the right word, but
Hmm.
a definition, that's the word of words. It said each word is like a different color, which I thought that was fascinating.
Hmm.
And when we use them, we create a picture of what's happening in our minds. These words mix together to show us the world, and they even shape what we believe and what others believe through the power of using those words. So it's kind of
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
painting with words, which I always thought of poetry as painting with words, but I never thought of words in general in terms of that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to think because I'm a very color oriented person.
Hmm.
And so I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking color wise, words. I don't know. I guess I've never really correlated them
With
together.
color. I had never either, except for, I like to write poetry. And so, and when you do write poetry, you are using words
Hmm. To like
to
paint a
paint
picture,
a
but
picture. Yeah. But I
and
never thought of it in terms of specific, to
colors.
color. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interesting because I'm very color oriented. So like it's weird when I close my eyes and I fall asleep and I'm trying to fall asleep. My husband's a different color every night.
Oh,
And
wow.
I don't even understand what it means to me. But when I'm laying there, my eyes closed, and I'm like, "Hey, honey, you're purple tonight,
Oh,
or
how funny.
you're brown tonight, or you're orange tonight." And you could literally ask him this, and he'd be like, "Yeah, she does do that."
You have never told me that before. That's very
It's weird. It's
interesting.
colors. I'm like, I see in colors.
That's
So
so fascinating.
a lot like I don't know, my brain associates a lot of things with color, and I don't know if that has to do with aura at all.
That's what I was going to say. I wonder if you're reading his aura and his aura changes depending on
But
his mood,
it's only
but your eyes
when,
are closed.
yeah, but I never see it with another person like when I'm awake. It's only when I'm in between the realm of awake
Hmm.
and asleep. So he's the
Interesting.
only person that I see in color, which is you can also say is really sweet.
That is very sweet. It's so
Aw.
romantic.
Um, but I
Honey, you're
guess
black tonight. You're
yeah,
black as my soul.
yeah, you are no color tonight. Yeah. And there have been nights where there is no color, and so that's why I find it very interesting. It's just interesting. But like the word poetry to me is pink. Like words like can have color, but I don't think of it in the ways of like this. Like
Interesting.
not
Yeah.
every word has a color. Like word doesn't
Yeah.
have a color. Like I doesn't have a color. You doesn't have a color. But some words
Right.
that maybe emphasize something like poetry means something that's like maybe more in depth. And I view poetry as pink or something like
What
that.
color is summer?
Purple,
Really? To me, it's either green or yellow.
purple or yellow, I suppose. But like the word summer is purple. But what I imagine summer being
Oh,
is
yeah.
yellow.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. We've gotten totally off track.
That's what we do. Uh,
That's what we
so,
do.
so the idea that words carry vibrational frequencies, and when used correctly, you can tap into them, into those, flows and
Hmm.
manipulate that of the universal forces.
Okay.
So, words of power can invoke deities, command forces, protect from harm, or manifest desires by aligning, your will with the universal energies. So,
Interesting. Okay.
words of power are often considered sacred, which I can see that,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
may be rooted in ancient languages, like because you
Hmm.
can't just imagine words as just one language. Like there are
Hmm.
so many words.
Oh, that's true.
Mhm. And so you can have personalized mantras or symbolic phrases that resonate with your intention.
Hmm.
So I like this because my husband speaks a different language. Like
Hmm.
his native language is different than English.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
it's very interesting because there'll be a joke or something, and he'll try to explain it to me in English,
Hmm.
but he's like, it doesn't translate properly, so it's not
Yeah.
funny. And
I
so
bet.
I like that because languages have their own thing too.
Yeah. I bet puns don't translate.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. That's
And things and
interesting.
like things that rhyme in other languages don't rhyme in English, and like so it's very very interesting. And I don't know, I really like this topic a lot because of that, and words do hold a lot of meaning, and it's all about
Yeah.
how you use them because we use words every day.
What was interesting to me about this topic was I never really thought that magic came from words. I always thought that it came from the intent
Hmm.
behind the words. So it
Hmm.
didn't matter what you said, You
I
could
think
say
that there's you can have
bubbly
either
bloopily,
or. Yeah, you can have either or, I think.
but I think it's, but that being said, that it's the intent and not necessarily the word, you do have uh, many of us that, like, remember the tulpa conversation that we
Yeah.
had?
Yeah.
A lot of people um, come to understand, like, the word, I don't know, abracadabra, whatever.
Hmm.
That word comes up a lot in this podcast, but people, so many people understand that word to be a magic word that that might give the word itself power,
Hmm. Yeah,
not
yeah.
just our intent behind it, but that
Yeah.
kind of tulpa
That
power
word itself,
makes
yeah.
that word itself powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's interesting. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, I can I don't know, I'm trying to think about it. And I've had a long day at work, I will say. My work entails a lot of math. Me? Math?
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. I changed my major 4 times to avoid math, and somehow I still ended up in a position that includes math. So my brain's a little slower today, but I do
Okay.
like the idea that words and tulpas can like intermingle, like that they
Mm-hmm.
are entwined somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just very interesting all in all because we always say intent is very important and it's mostly about your intent. And then now we're saying that your words can be the intent
Yeah,
as
they
well. Like,
can
I mean,
do it all by themselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't want to
Well,
be wishy-washy on what we say, but
but
I
I
feel
mean,
like there's intent on making the word intentful.
I agree with that too. Even though
So
that came out weird, I do agree with what you just
I
said.
made
But
perfect
like,
sense.
think about, yeah, I make perfect sense. Bah, ha, 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 ha. No, but like, think about Harry Potter, where it was the word, like, Wingardium Leviosa. It's Leviosa, not
So, yeah. Yeah,
Leviosa.
I
Yeah.
guess so.
And that, in that book and in that world, the word itself was the magic.
Hmm.
Although if they said it wrong, like, remember when they were trying to, um, I don't remember which scene it was where he turned his cup into a
His
mouse or
no, he
something
turned
with it.
his mouse into a cup because he was trying to.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
it,
so
so the word itself was what was important in that, not the intent
mhm.
necessarily.
Well, I feel like maybe it's like you have to find a balance. So
Hmm.
like what works for me is manifestation and not necessarily using those words, but a feeling.
Hmm.
But if somebody is very word heavy, then maybe they need to have their words and their intent, like their feeling align.
Well, you know how I feel about the rhyming thing. To me,
Yeah, you always need
that,
to rhyme. I think it's your rhymes are so cute.
but I think that I think that those words give my spells power, not just my intent. So I think there are words of power.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways, so you can use this in your witchcraft,
Hmm.
obviously. And so how? And what do you kind of start with?
Okay.
So there you can kind of break it down into maybe sacred sounds and or symbols.
Okay.
So when you talk about language, and I'm going to be talking about what I know very detailed, which is English,
Hmm.
that we have many things that especially like in poetry and you can create haikus and there
Hmm.
are certain syllables that you enunciate to pronounce that word. I just think it's
Hmm.
very interesting. So certain sounds are often rooted in ancient languages like Latin, Sanskrit,
Hmm.
or Hebrew,
Hmm.
Egyptian. All
Hmm.
of these are considered to have powerful vibrational energies, basically. So, like you said, abracadabra could mean I create as I speak. Like it's
Hmm.
believed to mean that. And so it is often used for manifestation, which to me boggles my mind because abracadabra is this fake magic
I
word
know. Uh,
that's
well,
always used by kids. Abracadabra.
yeah. Well, I think it came from the ancient Aramaic language that back in Mesopotamia
Hmm.
times, and it was actually supposedly abracadabra, which did translate literally to I create as I speak, which
Hmm.
is what you just said. That's
Yeah.
fascinating to me.
It's I don't know. And then thinking of like words, like you brought up Harry Potter, like the what's the word to kill somebody? The
Yeah, the Avara, it was Avara
yeah,
Kedavra, I
it's
think
very
that she
yeah, I
used.
think like that kind of triggered that and did she try to connect
She
that?
did, and I was going to talk about it later, but I'll
Oh,
talk about it
sorry. No,
now. Let me
no,
see
no.
if I can find it. But she actually was incorrect in what her translation was. She thought that it meant I, as I speak, I destroy, instead of
Oh.
as I speak, I create. But that, I mean, that's cool. That's a writer thing. I think
Hmm.
that's very cool that she found
Interesting.
this word and she researched this word and was like, this is how I'm going to use it, which
Yeah.
writers can do that. You know,
Hmm.
she's not bound by what is in our world because she's writing a totally different world.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hmm.
So, OM,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
in Eastern spiritual practices is a sacred sound representing the vibrations of the universe, which makes
Hmm.
sense to me.
Yeah. We kind of talked about that in one of our really early episodes. We talked about but I don't remember
I
why.
don't remember.
Meditation,
I don't
maybe
even
it
remember
might have
talking
been.
about it, probably.
But did you know it's a sacred syllable that is considered to be the essence of the universe and the source of all sounds?
Oh,
Isn't that interesting?
Om.
Om.
Did you?
It is also said to represent the three major states of consciousness, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, which I think we talked
Mm,
about that in that episode.
okay. I don't remember as much about that, really.
Yeah, it was like episode number 5 or something. I mean, it was a long,
Yeah.
long time
And
ago.
that's kind of why I just did After Dark, I think it was. Like the darker history of the witch trials, not just like
Hmm.
Salem or anything, but just like witch trials in general. And I got really bummed out in that episode. I was like, I
Yeah.
really hope that you guys are enjoying this because it's actually really
It's
sad.
depressing.
Yeah, but I want to give you good content, but this is sad.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's horrible to look back on things that actually happened and
Mhm.
realize that
Yeah,
people actually went through that. How horrible. That's awful.
awful.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyways. So, mantras and affirmations is next. So,
Hmm.
it's like repeated words or phrases can serve as powerful affirmations. So, these may be personal mantras such as I am protected or I am abundant. And these kind of reinforce intentions or spell specific phrases that channel energy towards a goal.
Hmm.
Mantras often invoke spiritual forces and are chanted to focus energy and bring desired results. So, sort of like a word for intention.
See, I like the affirmations. And on my Etsy site, I have little cards that you can print and cut out. I use them myself on my altar, and they're things like that. They're just like I am abundant or I am protected, depending on what I need that day. And I put it on my altar, and I feel like those words are important.
Yeah.
You know how the self-talk, you have to be careful how you talk about yourself and how you talk to yourself
Mm-hmm.
because words are so important. When you say, I'm so dumb, that is reinforced in your brain. You need to say positive things about
Yeah.
yourself.
Hmm.
Anyway, that's a
I mean, I
totally
also
different
feel like
topic.
it's how you feel about yourself as well, because you could say I am beautiful and not believe that,
Right.
like you
That's
can,
true.
so
That's
I
true.
it's all about I don't know. I'm mixed between words, like the words are the intent versus the intent is in the
Is
word.
mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but then you can have like invocations and evocations.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are formal words or phrases used to call upon deities, spirits, or other spiritual beings. And the right words of power in an invocation can establish a connection with the spiritual realm and invite entities to assist in whatever you want to be done, like work
Mm-hmm.
being done. For example, by the power of Hecate, I
Mm-hmm.
call forth,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't like using that. I don't know. I feel like this is me. their power is their power. It's not for me to try to harness myself.
Right.
Now, if they want to help me in any type of way, then that's
Hmm.
fine. But you can use this as a way to maybe say, hey, I do need help in this.
Yeah, I
Can you please help
definitely
me?
agree with you that we shouldn't be trying to force any
Yeah,
spiritual
so like you need to
entities
have
to
like a
do
mutual
anything.
understanding that yes, she or he will help you or they will help
Hmm.
you. And then by the power of them, they will come forth.
Hmm.
But again, do what you want. So that's what I always say. So
Hmm.
sigils and enchanted words are also like a section that I would kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Ponder, kind of
Hmm.
think about when you're
Hmm.
using words. So in chaos magic and other practices, sigils or symbols that are created with specific intent can also be observed, be considered words of power. And
Okay.
so words or phrases are reduced to symbolic forms. So this is kind of focusing on a single magical intent. And so
Hmm.
chanting the original phrase or word along with that visualization of its sigil empowers the spell.
Yeah, I think, think about logos. Think about how power, I think, is imbued in logos, like the
Hmm.
McDonald's M. Everybody
Yeah,
knows
everybody knows what that
that
is.
that M is McDonald's. And to me, that is power,
Ba 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 ba.
right? Exactly. But any kind of logo, I think, is to get the public or the listener or viewer or whatever in tune to that product.
Hmm.
And that's the same thing we're trying to do with the magic is get that sigil or what word that we're trying to use imbued with our intention and the power. I,
Hmm.
I think it's kind of cool. I mean, you also have the divine or elemental names.
Mm.
So, like certain names of deities, spirits, and elemental powers can be treated as words of power, like just speaking the name of a specific god or goddess, like Isis or Odin. Like you were talking about, I call upon Isis or
Hmm.
that kind of thing. By the flames of Brigid's fire, I invoke courage and strength, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Then banishing and protection spells, words of power are often used in those rituals to
Hmm.
dispel negative energy or entities, like words like begone, vanish, depart. That's a power word in and of itself.
Yeah, like
And they can be
strong words.
spoken with authority. Yeah,
Oh, that's a good word.
yeah. I had a good word. Yay.
Woo!
And then the law of names, and I think we've all heard about the power of names, but in many magical traditions, knowing the true or secret name of a person or entity gives you power over them. And the belief in the law of names suggests that words, especially names, are imbued in and of themselves with the essence of what they represent. And, in many cultures, it really was believed that knowing someone else's name could give you power over them. And so some cultures
Hmm.
have secret names that you don't just give out to the public. My name River, okay, that's what the public knows, but in secret, I have an X type of name that is my power name.
Hmm.
And if someone else knew that name, they could have power over me.
You wish you were
So
that cool.
I know I wish I was that cool, but this belief can be found back in ancient tribes as well as in Islamic, Jewish, Egyptian, Hindu, and even Christian traditions. I found that
Mm.
fascinating because
Hmm.
we've all heard of that.
Hmm.
If you know a demon's true name, you can,
Yeah. I mean, it's said that like the formal figure that we know as Jesus, like that wasn't
hmm
even his real name.
Really? I hadn't heard that.
Like I heard that, I don't know if it's true. I didn't fact check or anything, but
Yeah.
I've heard that down the grapevine that that wasn't even his real name. Like that was a name that he was given because he was becoming such a popular um like figure, like a disciple of like in preaching and all of that. And so
Interesting.
he was given this name and then that's how he's known as. Now I could be 100% wrong, but
That's interesting. I didn't
Something
know
I've
that.
heard. Yeah. But something I found very interesting were magical alphabets.
Oh, okay.
So some witches or like users, practitioners, whatever you want to be
Mm-hmm.
called. I always like to emphasize that.
Mm-hmm.
Use magical alphabets like Deban,
I have no
Teban,
idea.
or ruins. I'm ruining this podcast, Jesus. Runes to inscribe words of power and spells on like their talismans or anything like that.
Well, like
So,
on candles, we talk about putting
yeah.
runes
Yeah.
and stuff on candles. That's interesting. Okay.
Runes, not ruins.
Not
Um,
ruins. You don't want to ruin your candle with ruins.
or do you want to go explore some ruins? Anyways, so these alphabets are believed to have maybe inherent magical properties that enhance the potency of the written or spoken word. I thought that was
You
really
know,
cool.
I would think the alphabet part would go more towards the written word, to written words of power as opposed to spoken words of power. Because we don't speak the letter A, you know. Well, sometimes we do when we say A, but we don't speak the letters
C. No,
D,
maybe because
F,
I
R,
see
G.
you.
I don't know.
Anyways.
I think they know what we're trying to say. But anyway, moving along.
Anyways, so you also can have rhythmic chanting or poetry, like we've talked about poetry a little bit
Hmm.
already. And this can be considered words of power. And so this
Hmm.
kind of repetition and flow of words and rhyme, or like I
Hmm.
was saying, like haiku, and like there's like
Hmm.
a pattern
The
to it,
pattern. Yeah.
can often serve to raise energy and focus it on a specific goal. And
Now,
so,
see, that's how I use words like my little rhyming
mhm,
things that I come up with. I mean, I put my intent into the words as I'm coming up with the spell, but I think it is the flow of how you say it. That's why rhyming is so important to me.
mhm.
Because I feel like that.
Well, I mean, you're also focusing your energy and you're putting emphasis on something and you're
Hmm.
using that to emphasize, I guess is the word, but like
Hmm.
emphasize what you're going for.
Hmm. That's true.
So, but you can use these during a circle casting, a spell of protection. I feel like you can use poetry and chants and
Hmm.
ritual like and all of that and everything.
I agree.
And then you can have personal words of power. So
Oh,
you
I
can
love that
create your
idea.
own personal words of power on your unique experiences, intentions, and magical practice. We come up with words all the time.
Oh yeah, we make up all kinds of we got lots of power words, y'all.
Woo! So, I mean, these words kind of become powerful for you based on, what you kind of see and what you use every day. So my word would obviously be And what was the word that I kept saying before? And I was like, God damn, like take a shot every time I say that because
Yeah, I don't remember. But you know what's funny? When I was a
man.
kid, I don't think I've ever told you this story, but when I was a kid, a friend of mine and I came up with a word. We made up a word, and it was "sapre," and it meant it was a specific color that you could only see in the night sky
Mm,
as sun was setting, and that was our word. That we made that word up, and it was that particular color
hmm
anyway. But yeah, so I guess I've been making up words
Your
and
whole
words
life.
of power my whole
Words of
life.
power. Look at you.
So there are some common examples, like in witchcraft, so mote it be.
Oh, you
Um,
overuse that one.
I know I that one means something to me. So
Yeah.
I guess that is a word of power. Blessed be is another one.
hmm
As above, so below.
I like that one.
And it harm none, do what you will. That's the Wiccan Reed.
hmm
Um, the Enochian words, which are ancient words, they're used in ceremonial magic, and or at least they used to be
hmm
to summon angels or spirits. Runes, like you were talking about, in Norse magic, each rune had its own powerful meaning and could be spoken or chanted to invoke its energy. And Hebrew names, um, they're they wow. Da, 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 da. In Hebrew, certain names were thought to have to be power words. And then, like you were talking about, personal words, you can do a
Hmm.
personal mantra,
Yeah.
words or phrases that personally connect to you and your magical practice.
Yeah.
Wow, that was harder
Woo.
to say than I thought.
Whirlwind. But how I want to talk about how words of power kind of work, really. I know we were
Hmm.
like, yeah, you words of power, words of power. But words resonate at a different type of frequency. I feel like every
Hmm.
word is on its own frequency.
Hmm.
And when you put them together, then that creates its own frequency. So
Hmm.
like they all kind of harmonize together when you put them together, mash them together. So every word has its own frequency. So by choosing the right words, we can align them with our intent, with our energetic frequency, and we can use those to achieve our goals.
That's brilliant.
And
Yeah,
so
that's how it works.
so the power of these words is often unlocked by intent. What?
Hmm.
Wow, I would have never thought. Yeah. But when spoken with focus, belief, and emotional energy, your vibrations, these words can serve as conduits for your magical purpose.
I like
So
that.
you can speak them aloud. You can even only mentally speak them.
That's true. We've talked about that before
Yes,
too.
because
Yeah.
I have a voice in my head. No, I'm not crazy. Maybe a little, but there is a voice in my head. Like, so I found out some people don't have that voice, which freaks me
Really?
out. Yeah.
I have like 50 voices.
Oh, yeah. But some people
My
don't
my
have those
husband says
voices.
he says I have a stadium in my head, but
I
I can't
agree.
imagine that someone wouldn't have a voice in their head.
Some
Really?
people don't have voices. Some people say they only see pictures. I don't know.
Oh my
I
goodness.
see
I
both.
didn't
I
know
have
that.
pictures and words. My brain
Me
is always
too.
on fire, apparently. So,
Okay.
you can mentally kind of focus on them and you can influence the surrounding energy to help manifest your intention.
Okay.
So those words of power kind of serve as a tool to amplify your intention. I know we always talk about tools. They don't have to be physical tools. They can also
That's
be,
true.
you know,
And, along the lines of our whole discussion about it's intent. Well, words amplify what you just said. It
hmm
amplifies the intention. So
hmm
words are powerful to amplify your intention. Anyway,
hmm
I just
yeah,
said that like three different ways,
it's all
but
right.
anyway.
So you have kind of like repetition is something that is seen as really important. So
Hmm.
the more you use a word, basically, the more power it can hold. And so it has more energy and it kind of builds up and making it really strong over time.
Yeah. Did you know actually that repetition can actually physically change your brain?
Mm.
It makes it easier to perform tasks over time. Repetition can help people become more comfortable and efficient at tasks, which can lead to increased speed, accuracy, and confidence. So that repetition is a way to use these words of power. That's part of how these words of power work is through the repetition.
Hmm. See, I don't know. I guess I am repetitive sometimes. I don't know. I don't know. I've never used words like this. Like
Hmm.
most of my manifestation isn't done through words, it's through feeling. So
Okay. So like
thinking
you don't
about
repeat
words.
your
Mm-mm.
what you're
I
trying to
guess
manifest over and over.
sometimes, I guess I do.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
So, some words of power come from ancient texts, like
Right.
we've talked about. And I found this other word, like, sort of like abracadabra. It's tetragrammaton.
Oh, I've heard that word. I don't
And
know what it means, but I've heard it before.
they have been used in they've been used in various traditions, and they have a connection to the divine and elemental forces, which is really cool.
This was where I was going to talk about the
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling, but we talked about
Sorry,
it
I
already,
jumped
so
the
we can
gun
move
on
on.
that
That's
one.
okay.
So
That's okay.
you can also create personal words of power, which work because of the personal energy. So kind of how I was
Oh
talking
yeah.
about earlier.
Hmm. Hmm.
So your words of power are often used in spells, rituals, and can invoke specific energies.
Hmm.
Um, that's just how you can use it. Like I know we've kind of sprinkled this in as we've been
Mm-hmm.
talking about it because whenever we do talk about a topic, we're like, this is how you can use it. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. In a more kind of commanding sense, certain weeds. Wow.
Certain weeds. Like,
Certain weeds,
okay.
certain words of power are used to assert control over situations, forces, declaring your energies. That's what I'm trying to like kind of get at is like your words can work for you.
That makes me think of the word like stop. When
Mm-hmm.
you yell out the word stop, that word, it makes people stop.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something about that word that asserts control over people. That's interesting. I hadn't
Yeah,
thought about that.
it's interesting.
But what this whole topic reminds me of is the legend of the golem. You know what a golem is, right?
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
clay people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the legend of the golem from the Jewish mysticism, they would create this creature, usually out of mud or whatever, and they would inscribe a word of power on its forehead. And that word of power, Emet, Emet,
Mm-hmm.
which means truth in Hebrew, was the word that was believed to bring a golem to life.
Hmm.
And they, um, to deactivate or kill the golem, although I don't know that kill's the right word because it's not truly alive, it's just animated.
Hmm.
But the word that you would use to um, stop the golem, you would erase the first letter and then leave the word met. You would take off the E,
Mm-hmm.
which in that language is not really an E. But anyway, you would take off
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm
that
understanding.
first letter and
Mm-hmm.
leave the second half, which means death in Hebrew.
Mm.
And so that change would symbolically and literally end the golem's life, which I thought was fascinating. And so, did you know a golem is an animated humanoid constructed entirely from inanimate things, usually clay or mud?
I think that's pretty
But
cool.
the term golem itself is used in the Psalms of medieval writing to describe an amorphous, unformed material.
Hmm.
I love that story. I mean, I think we've all heard the story of
Yeah.
of the golems. I mean, I think there have been all kinds of, writings about them and
I think so. I feel like
cartoons even.
I was just
Yeah.
talking about this the other day, I guess to my husband or
About
and a
golems?
friend over. No, just about like um things like this that kind of cross various cultures that are all very similar.
Mm.
So it kind of
Mm-hmm.
popped up in the same time frames of like, golems and they're seen in many traditions. And golems is just an example, but like they're seen in
Right.
many cultures, but those cultures had no connection with each other. And so
Oh
it's interesting.
yeah. Like
I
how
was just talking about
dragons
that.
are in all the different cultures
Yeah.
that didn't even have
Yeah.
connection. Yeah.
So
Crazy.
I really like all that stuff. So I was talking about it.
But I mean, I think this whole episode really is that number one, words can have power.
Hmm.
Number two, you can make words have power.
Hmm.
Number three, I had a third point, but it went right out of my head.
Use those powers for your craft and
Yeah,
intention.
you can make magic with words.
Hmm.
Um, I think there's a lot of ways to incorporate words into your magical practice.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
I mean, we're using words right now. Doobie
Hmm.
doo.
Yep.
But
But
that's
that's
all we have.
all we've
Yeah.
got. Yeah.
So let me try to do the outro without messing it up like I always
Okie
do.
doke.
So if you like what you heard, and it's a little bit outdated, but you can go to our website, www.c3witchypodcast.com. There on the first page, I usually like to keep it updated on what our most recent episode is on our normal series as well as
Hmm.
our After Dark series. I have
Hmm.
a little witchy quote of the month, which has kind of been witchy quote of the 5 months. And all of that. But we have links to all of our social medias on there. We have links to our episodes. We have links to our blog, which I think I posted one earlier in the month about being finally in October, and October has kind of flown by. Where has it gone? And I
Mm-hmm.
haven't even enjoyed much. And then what else? Our
Well,
merch.
oh yeah, go ahead.
Our merch is now on our website, so it's not at themerch.com anymore. We're still working on that. I took everything down on that one. So you can no longer snag those designs, but go to our website. It's the shop merch link at the top. It'll take you right to our
Shop
page and you
merch.
can
Mm-hmm.
you can purchase right on our website, the www.c3witchypodcast.com. Like you can purchase
Mm-hmm.
all in that same thing. And it comes faster and it's a bit cheaper, and we're excited about the designs and we hope you
Yeah,
enjoy.
let us know what you all think. Those of you that have ordered some, I've
Mhm.
ordered some myself, and I love the fabric. I love it. So let
Mhm.
us know what you all think about it.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
I want to
we've been
thank,
I was gonna
I
say
want,
we've been behind on emails.
yes, I emailed some people that had emailed us today or yesterday.
Yay, sweet.
But I want to thank Ren for
Oh,
picking
me?
up where, I mean, I was totally out of commission. I mean, to the point I didn't even remember my children's names. That's how bad this
Yeah,
injury was to my brain.
yeah.
Um, and she picked up on the podcast. Not only did she pick up on the podcast, but she made sure I was okay and took a lot of care of
Mm-hmm.
me, even though we
Mm-hmm.
don't even live in the same city.
Mm-hmm.
She took time to come see me and take
Oh
care
yeah.
of me. And she has been doing all of the podcast stuff. The only thing I've been able to do lately is the TikTok. I did
That's
the
been great.
Samhain TikTok, tick,
Uh,
blah, blah, blah,
Tip
the
top.
Samhain TikTok series that
Uh-huh.
I did, but she has done everything, you guys. So give her a big round of applause for all the work she has done because I couldn't do anything.
I know you would do it for me, and you have done it for me when I wasn't able to podcast for a little bit. So,
Yeah, but not nearly
oh, it's
what
fine.
you've done. But
I'm
I
happy
agree. I
to
would
be
have done
here.
it for you. But thank you
Um,
guys so much for listening.
yes, thank you so much. We are very glad that you're still here.
Yes. Yes. But anyway, we'll be back.
We'll be back.
And until then, stay witchy.
Woo!